Hello, 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 and welcome to another live stream. Here it's Monday. Thanks for joining. If it's the morning, evening, or night for you. For me, it's gotten pretty dark here in southern Sweden, and it's been snowing for the last few days actually. So the weather has turned pretty heavily, but otherwise, good to have you here. Thanks for joining on this Monday night. As usual, we have a few familiar faces. I was showing some of them in the pre-show there, some of the familiar faces on the chat, which is excellent. But if you're just joining in, let me know where you're joining from. Pop your sort of name and location in the chat. It's always good to hear where people are tuning in from. Let me see, what was I going to get to? I have a few things to get through on the show today, and anything else that pops up will be questions from yourself. So if you have any production related questions on I don't know, graphics, ATEM, cameras, whatever it is, vMix, who knows? Just throw it in there and we'll get to it. Or off topic as well is perfectly welcomed. And we can definitely talk about these things today. H2R Gear has some new exporting and other features. I'm going to do like a little quick demo on keyfill graphics on H2R Graphics Volume 2 and yeah, answer any questions that come in along the way, which is kind of what this is all about. And nice to see people already joining from all over the place as well. And I just missed a few at the end there. Randy saying, great to see the new release of H2R Graphics V2. Yeah, I'm pretty close to like a proper full release. It's sort of in beta at the minute still. You can head over to h2r.graphics and get things going if you want to sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get an email to join the whole program. But yeah, from there you can go and check things out. So thanks, Randy. Oh, first of all, we have a really long message here. Excellent, thank you so much, Marlon, for your super chat right off the bat. Excellent, and a question that comes with that as well. I want to hire you for your consulting services. However, times in your schedule do not work for me. Can we chat privately either via email as to see what times work for you? Is next week on the 7th. Please advise via email. Absolutely. If you haven't already, send me a message through the my email address, John at here to record, and we can chat about this for sure. The times that I put on my consultancy calendar are sort of rough times. If anyone was to jump in and book something, then I wouldn't necessarily want that to be out of what I consider business hours. But if we can sort out something, then that'll work for sure. So send me an email if you haven't already, and if you have, apologies, it might have went to my spam or something. But yeah, happy to chat about that. Let's fire through a few questions here before we go any further. In fact, here's one. Xiaobi, if that was how you pronounce your name, apologies if not. Can't import any supersource macro XML file to my ATEM. Extreme that I created a H2R website. Other XML works fine. Oh, that's going to be tough for me to troubleshoot live without really seeing what your XML looks like. So if you want to send me an email about that, we can definitely figure it out. If other importing of XML works fine, then I'd be surprised that mine doesn't work just the same, because it's all the same structure. So either give me some more details here, or you can always just send me an email, and I'm happy to help out with that for sure. I think it is a few more people coming in here for sure. Nice to see you here, HP Digital. Definitely will get a H2R Pro version. Excellent, thank you so much. And Christoph, hello from Germany. And I think I missed a few more there from Canada, and a couple more people from Canada tuning in. Excellent. So what was on my to-do list? First up, I was going to talk about H2R Gear. So a couple of features that people have wanted for the longest time. In fact, if I just throw over to H2R Gear there, get started with that. So the first major feature, well, it's a minor feature, but something people have been asking for a long time now, is in the settings, you now have this power option. So you can add that to your gear items. So if I head over to the builder, one of the options now, I could put a power input and then set up power, and now anything connects to power. Power connects to power. Something that people have been asking for the longest time, and something that I was sort of reluctant to add Not for any good reason really, other than I felt like power was a bit of a endless slope to get into, but I've kind of kept it simple. Excuse me, and I think that'll work. But I'll be keen to hear if it works for you. I think a lot of people just wanted to track power in some way, so they make sure they bring a power cable. So I think that'll be a good start for sure. So that's one of the features. But one of the sort of better features, I would say, in this new version for sure is now on the paid plans, the personal or pro plan, there's a lot of P's there, I have this new option now where you can export your plan. This is probably the most requested feature before power, perhaps, but it's certainly up there on the requested feature list. So if I go into, I like this one here because it's quite a complex plan. This is something I was working on a few weeks ago with another guy. This is the gear we used for a vMix style live stream, and I built it all out. He sent me a picture of it all on pen and paper, but I decided to just build it out in here instead. So what you'll see now is this new export button, and from here you can export a PNG of your gear plan. So the idea being here that you can choose a quality. 10x is a pretty big file, so give it a try. It's a pretty large file. 1x is 1x is kind of the same as just grabbing a screenshot. And let me just show you real quickly that I've zoomed out here just to get everything in view. So in fact, if I just zoomed into like a section, whatever I can see in the view here is what's going to be saved. But I'll just zoom back out again and get my whole gear plan in there, something like that. Choose export, and I quite like to do the 10x one, but just for now I'll just do 5x. I can also choose, because it's a PNG, I can also choose, do I want a transparent background or not? In my case, I will choose yes to transparent background, which I think will be much more useful to use in other pieces of software and stuff. So you can see the image downloaded. Open that up, and there is the same gear plan with all of the cables in there and all of the pieces of gear in full color. And you can tell by the sort of grayed out background there that it's also an alpha PNG. And in fact, what's cool is you can zoom in even further. Now you can see some of the pixels pushing around there, but that was at a 5x quality. I did a 10x. You can actually really peep into these and really take a good look at them. So from there, you could take this file, move it into Photoshop maybe, or whatever tool you like to use to go on to the next step. Maybe you could bring it into something like Keynote or whatever you want to use your plan for. So I think that's one of the things people really wanted to do was, number one, bring it into another piece of software and maybe sketch around it or make it into like a presentation for a client. And then the other side of that is to grab it on your iPad, maybe save it onto your iPad, or you could print it out if you really wanted to, and be a bit more, nimble with it and move it around and use it for other things. So that's a new feature for sure. Something that's been requested for the longest time. It's not in the free starter edition, it's in the paid or pro plan. So if you are on the free thing and you open that dialog, then it won't let you save it out, but you get the gist of how it works. And I've already been using it for a few different things, and I'm keen to hear if you use it for other things as well. We'll get back to H2R Gear a little bit later whenever we delve into my sort of key fill demo later, but I just wanted to say hello. I see Aaron popped in there. Why it's so dark. It is so dark out. The last few weeks have been really the time has changed a lot. So yeah, it's gotten pretty dark. Greetings from Turkey. Thanks so much for joining from Turkey. Definitely. And let me just see here. Brandon wants to know, can you use multiple Stream Decks at the same time with Companion? If so, then how? You definitely can. I think it's a bit of a confusion, and in fact, it's something I was confused by whenever I first got my second Stream Deck for Companion. So the way that you do it is you just attach two Stream Decks to Companion. I don't have two attached here. I only have one right now. But let me see, what is my Companion IP address? I run everything on my Pi for Companion, Raspberry Pi. So I never remember the IP address. I always have to go find it because I don't really change my Companion Pi all that much. So it hasn't logged to memory just yet. Let me see. There it is. Open that address. Yeah, got it. Okay. Let me bring this over here and show that to you. So if you go to surfaces whenever you've logged in, I'm sure you've seen this this window before, Brandon, but I have the emulator here and I have my number 1 Stream Deck, and then if you rescan and you have multiple connected, then they'll all pop in and show up there. But the strange thing is, whenever you connect multiple, they'll all go to page 1, and it kind of seems like you can't do anything. I don't know, I think logically, whenever I first got a second one, it didn't work the way I thought it would. I thought for some reason that I would tell each Stream Deck what page it should be on, but really they're just running the same thing, so you can put one page on one and another page on another. If you are seeing some issues with that, then it's possible that I've seen or heard of some issues where if you're running the official Stream Deck app and then the companion sort of module on top of that, then there can be some issues there. So maybe that's the problem that you're seeing. If not, let me know, or maybe someone else in the chat knows even better how to make that work. But you can do multiple. I have done multiple, and the idea really is you just set each one to a separate page. And one more thing is, if you, let me see if it's still in there. Yes, it is. If you have deleted all the page buttons on your companion or your Stream Decks, then you can always just go into the settings of each of them. And among other things, you can change what page that Stream Deck is on. I need to change it back to 1 there because it's just went crazy. Oh no, did I just crash my Stream Deck? I hope not. Maybe. Let's see. I think I did. That's unfortunate. Okay, it's coming back now. There we go. Because I use it for this whole production, so I just lost all my buttons there for a second. But we're good. We're back. It's working. So that's how you do that. I'm not gonna do that again. But now you get the idea. More questions. IT never gets old. Nice to have you back again. I think last week was your first time hanging out here. Any change for, or any chance, I guess, for an SVG export on H2R Gear for full scale ability? I looked into that. It didn't work as well as I wanted it to. You'll also notice over there that Chrome and Firefox are the only 2 browsers supported right now. Safari, it's not really working well in that. So it may still come in the future with SVG, and that was my original intention, was PDF SVG, but I didn't find it to work very well. So what I did instead, just technologically speaking, the way I was doing it, it wasn't giving me the results I wanted. So I decided to go the PNG route, and I decided to go for that quality setting as well, so that you could really get like the 10x quality, get yourself a huge file and have a lot to play with, even if you had a huge plan. And you can let me know if 10x is not enough whenever you export some plans and try it out a little bit. But for what I found, the 10x makes a huge improvement. So it should be a good start, and it creates a pretty big file, that's for sure. Darn saying great export with transparency. Nice. Yeah, I think that's what's great about the PNG. I was originally going to go for a JPEG as an option as well, but it just wasn't worth it. The PNG looked so much better, so I stuck with PNG. Thank you so much. Before I kick things off today, my internet, I started streaming. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm streaming in 720p at like 2.5 meg today. I started streaming in 1080 at 4.5, and my internet was not happy about that. So I'm glad so far that it's holding up for the stream right now. So far so good. But what else? Last week or was it 2 weeks ago maybe, I showed off the new case that I bought, a Pelican case with lots of freelancing equipment in it. And the one thing that was missing from that case at the time has now arrived, which was this device here, the UltraStudio HD Mini. I was going to get the 4K version. I kind of went back and forth, but what I ended up going for was the HD Mini. It's much smaller. It gets powered by one Thunderbolt cable, and it fits nicely in my case. And I didn't actually need any. I didn't really need any of the 4K features at all, so I decided just to go for this one. So that's what I have gone for in this case. So what I wanted to do was just a little demo of how that works with key fill graphics because it's something I've been asked a lot, and I'm just looking up something in the background here. Yes, there it is. Perfect. So what I have set up on the table right now is I have my laptop right beside it, the UltraStudio, and that's all connected up nicely. In fact, my original plan here was to go into, let's see, I can show you this. Go into H2R Gear and just finish a little plan that I started working on before we kicked off. I'll edit this key fill plan here, and I have all the pieces that are on the table in front of me. So I have my MacBook, the UltraStudio HD Mini, and then over on the other side of the room is the ATEM Mini Extreme, and I also need a couple of converters. We'll get to those. But so for this key fill graphics demo, all I really need to do is connect up a few pieces here on the table. Thunderbolt goes into the UltraStudio, and then I have these two SDI cables running across my floor right now into microconverters, and then the HDMI output of those is going into my ATEM Mini Extreme, and the ATEM Mini Extreme is what you can see this whole production through. That's the cable setup for my key fill graphics. On the other end here, I have my Mac running. Let me see if I can cut to this. In fact, there we go. So I have my MacBook Pro here running a few things in order to generate the key fill. So one of them being I've got H2R graphics running over here, and that's showing all the graphics. In fact, that's showing all the graphics for the show here today. So if I show this one again, you'll see that was the last comment there from Darren. Thank you so much. So that's obviously generating the graphics, but then I need some sort of piece of software to generate the key fill. H2R graphics by default doesn't have that built in this version. And what I really wanted to do was much better key fill graphics in this version. So that's why I went for this one running through OBS. So real quickly, I can just jump into the deck link outputs in OBS. I can choose the UltraStudio that's connected, make a few other changes, but mostly here, I want to set this keyer and start the keyer. And then let me just show that graphic again on the screen. Oh yeah, I need to do one more thing, obviously. I need to set up the browser source inside of OBS. That's one of the really nice things about OBS here. I can just copy this output URL into OBS in a browser. I'll just leave that as the default right now. Paste in the URL. And then I want it to be 1920. I'm typing from the other side of the table here. But 1080. Leave all the rest of the settings as they are. And my graphic shows up. What I can also do is if I cut back to my camera, I'm doing this in a two-step process today. But anyway, if I cut back to this camera overhead here, you can see on the little screen, you can just about see there. In fact, let me just take off these graphics on the stream real quickly. That as I turn this graphic on and off, you can see it disappearing and appearing on that little screen there. So this is a perfect little preview to see, am I sending what I want to be sending? Yes, I am. Excellent. And connected to that is the two SDIs. One is key, one is fill. And I'm just going to show you those now. So if I cut to, let me see if I'm hoping that I set all these cables up right over on the ATEM because it's a long way away. So there is the fill version. I'm a little bit concerned I can't see the key version. But anyway, you can see the fill, the key version. I've named them back to front on the ATEM, that's why I got confused there. But this is the what you want to use for the key. And in fact, if I show and hide that graphic again, what you can see is that nice clean white line coming in. And so the idea is if you show the filled version, which I can show you here on OBS, going into the ATEM, if I show this fill version, that's what I want to see in overlaid on top of my picture. And then if I show you the other one again, that's the the key. So this is what the ATEM will use in order to key out my graphics on the ATEM. Works really nicely. Looks like one of my cables wasn't set up right, so I'm gonna skip that part and come back to me. But that's a general look at that. My plan is to make a nice little tutorial video on how this all works now that I have all the pieces in place, because I know people have been asking me many a time, will you have key fill graphics on version 2 of H2R graphics? And hopefully at some point, if I can get it to work as well as I want it to, you could just plug the UltraStudio into H2R graphics, the application, and let it do all the work for you. But for now, you kind of have to bounce between H2R graphics to OBS or vMix or something similar, and then send it out to the hardware through that. So there's no direct support just yet. That would be sort of the long-term goal, but it is a great deal of work to get that working the way I would want it to work. So I'm kind of taking it easy. I'm going to be making some tutorial videos on how to do it in the meantime, or how to do it currently. And I think using a tool like OBS that's been tested a lot, or vMix that's been tested a lot, is one of the best solutions for now, because it means that you can trust it to work a lot better than if I just throw something together and hope that it works, which is kind of the solution in V1 of H2R graphics. My sort of hack together solution for key fill worked most of the time, but not all the time. So yeah, it was interesting. But let me know if you have any questions for that. I can certainly show it. Chris here, thank you so much for the super chat. I totally missed that. It ran right past me, but I appreciate it a lot. Keep up the great work and all the H2R tools. By the way, if you ever need ATEM mini power switch, let me know. Chris, I'm so glad that you reminded me. So Chris, who has been watching videos for a long time here, I'm going to say fan of the channel, but that's just because you've been around for a while, Chris, and it's nice to have you here. You reached out to me a while ago, actually, and mentioned that you had a power options for the ATEM Mini. So this is a neat little construction by Chris, viewer of the channel here. I'll just put a link in a second into the chat, but the idea being that you connect your existing power cable up to the ATEM Mini switch here. So the cable that came with it, you connect to one side, and then on the other side you get another locking connector. And now you have yourself a power switch for your ATEM Mini, or in this case, yeah, ATEM Mini, it'll work for. You'll have to let me know if this is the same one you can use for other ATEMs. I don't know if there's any difference between how much you can push through them, but I did tell you to remind me, and I will happily post a link to that now. ATEM Mini power switch. I'll pop that in the chat. I appreciate that a lot. And you were also kind enough to offer to send one my way, or a couple my way as well. And I appreciated that a lot. But it turns out whenever I accept things like that, I will pay import fee, and I'll also pay tax on its value. And what it meant was, I think I'd probably end up paying more money on the item than you would have given it to me for free. So I said, hang on to them, and maybe in the future I can just mention it on the channel here. So I'm glad we could do that. So thank you so much, Chris, for being around. Dame says, is there too much snow? Is that what's affecting my internet quality? Probably. Almost definitely. I never looked up there today, but almost definitely. And David here with the companion follow-up. Plugin in Elgato Stream Deck app is seen as a single surface within companion. Yeah, so best to start up companion first to lock the USB device to companion. Absolutely. I would say the same. That's a good idea. And then I would also wonder if you really need to use the official Stream Deck app. If you do, that's cool. Go for it. But if not, then it's something definitely to consider not to bother having in the workflow as well. Yeah, exactly. Lintaga says, if anything fails tonight, it's because of the lack of electricity or the high electricity price. Yeah, the price of electricity here in Sweden and the shortage of it is pretty big right now. The price is going up drastically. In fact, I need to turn off my lights soon to save some of that money. IT never gets old, so the UltraStudio is effectively an externally interlaced DeckLink card. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. It it kind of, I don't know why OBS particularly calls it the deck link. Their option, what was that menu option called? The deck link output. I guess in that case, the reason they called it that is um, because usually you would have OBS. Let's just say, I'm guessing here, OBS installed on a computer, a PC tower, and you put a PCIe deck link card into that. But in this case, yeah, you're right. The UltraStudio over Thunderbolt, which works on Mac and PC if you have a Thunderbolt connection, it just effectively shows up as a deck link, and it has some inputs and outputs on the back as well. So it's really nice for that. Good and portable. That's the reason I got it. For many other things, I often run graphics productions, and I don't really want to use HDMI and chroma key. I wanted to do key fill, so it's a good way to put it. Wednesday TV channel. Yeah, you're usually here right on time. Late to the show, I'm afraid. No problem at all. Good to have you here either way. And oh, here's another one from Marlon. Super chat. Thank you so much, Marlon. Thank you. Yeah, you went ahead and sent a message. I did see that pop up, so I'll reply to your email. If not tonight after the stream, then tomorrow, and we can work something out for sure. And Chris says it works for all ATEM minis. Good to know. I didn't want to say anything that I didn't know enough about. I've said it before on the channel here, but like management of power connections, anything to do with pushing voltage around, makes me terrified. So I avoid all of that kind of stuff, and I trust people like you, Chris, to figure that out. Tell me what works and what doesn't. I've seen lots of people, even Go Web Technology. I think you posted the other day on the Discord. I just saw you popped in there, that you got a PC style power brick to power a bunch of connections in your rack setup. I don't want to go down that route. I just have this terrible feeling that I'll make a mess and blow things up. So who knows? And Aaron here saying, I'll bring you one. He's going to bring me one of those switches if I end up coming to Copenhagen next month. Exactly. You have a trip to Copenhagen, which is not too far away from where I am, planned for next month. So you can bring me a switch. That sounds good. That sounds like a good deal. But we'll just say that it's a friend borrowing it to another friend, just in case anyone's watching. That shouldn't be. Sal TV says, do you know if the Web Presenter 4K can be powered up with the USB cable? Oh, I'm pretty sure it can't be. I'm going to say that is not possible. I don't know for sure, but that is going to be my guess to that answer. But I'm pretty sure it's not, because it has a power connection on the back, so you'll need to use that. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why I got this UltraStudio. The other 4K version of this, it needs to be powered from the wall, so to speak, and it wouldn't be powered just from the Thunderbolt connection. So for my case, I wanted to get this one, and I put the little front panel on it to give me some extra power. So that is one consideration for sure. If you've got certain devices that you just want to grab and run with, this is one of those. But there's not that many devices that can be powered from the computer at the same time. In fact, I can see the battery on my computer is going down rapidly because of it's powering that at the same time and running OBS, I guess. And here another camera channel says, and it only says webcam on it anyway. So yeah, it would have said on there if it could be powered by that method for sure. Yeah, I've no doubt about that. All right, I caught up with the questions very nicely there. And in fact, that segues me nicely into what is almost that time of the show where we pop into the post show. And it's always the point where I go looking for my end of show notes. Exactly. So if you're watching live, stick around for the next, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. We'll take any more questions that come in, chit chat about this and that. And if you're watching on demand, then the post show is for members only. You can always join the channel by clicking on the join link below any video. Become a member of the channel, get some perks, and one of those perks is watching the post show of the live stream. But if you're here live, then just stick around. But I do want to thank, as usual, all the members of the channel who have already become a member. Some people for months now, which is excellent since I launched the membership. But 3 in particular. The Supreme supporters, Petra at Tech Condo, Patrick, and Jim at Cloud Bedrock, have been solid supporters literally for months now. So I appreciate all of that big time. The only thing I like to do whenever we head to the post show is I like to just grab a little recording break and then start again. But I do want to show off this little stinger that I made, so I'm going to go to that and then come right back again. So here's me going to the stinger, so I can stop.